All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate your time, and always as you come off of mute in this work from home era, your dog barks. So I'm not sure what's going on downstairs, but hopefully my family will take care of it. Next slide. If you're new to Addigy, the sudo talks is for Mac admins, and let's say iOS admins as well. We are Apple experts. Apple is what we do every day, all day long, and it's where our focus lies. And we're here to really focus on what we can do to make this world a better place for us to be able to help our users be successful with their devices. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to be talking about our next-gen conditional access for your Apple devices. Next slide. The title says it all. I'm John Sutcliffe. I'm the head of the product team here at Addigy. I've been with Addigy for 3.5 years now, and I'm joined by... You're muted, Joel.
Well, my name is Joel, and I'm also muted. And thanks for having me on here, John.
Thank you. Joel's been our product manager on our conditional access compliance engine that we're going to be talking about today. He's been deeply engaged in it. And we also have a surprise brand new product manager on the team today who's here. Yeah, you won't necessarily see his face. Some of you may be familiar with a gentleman named Bryce Carlson, who's been deeply involved with conditional access in a previous life. You'll be hearing more from him as we get further in to this release cycle. Next slide, please. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do, we wanted to talk about what are we trying to address? What is the problem we face? And we're all well aware of data breaches, all the different sorts of things that are going now, ransomware, et cetera, et cetera. You know, IBM put out a study about the cost of data breaches, and the average cost, 2.6% increase. If my health insurance only went up 2.6%, I'd be pretty excited. But when you look at what the average cost of a breach is, it's just growing and growing and growing. And it's more than even just a dollar cost. There's a disruption to your people. There's the exposure of your data, your corporate data, your equipment, et cetera, to what's going on in these things. Cyber insurance is also becoming more and more of a requirement. We've really been hearing and we're seeing, especially over the last 6 to 9 months, more and more people being required to carry cyber insurance, especially if you're reselling to other people, you're supporting other people's devices, or even for you as a internal IT team. Cyber insurance is a requirement, and one of the things they're starting to require for you to qualify for that is, are your devices compliant? Can you offer conditional access? And that's why we're very excited to announce the Addigy compliance engine along with next-gen conditional access to help you with that problem and really make sure those devices are secure. Joel is going to take us through the solution today as we go along. So again, if you have questions as we go along, we'll do our best to answer them live in the questions section. And we'll also have time for a Q&A when we get to the end of the presentation today. Joel, over to you.
Right on. Thank you, John. Like you guys already know, my name is Joel. We'll be going over 2 new Addigy features today that work in tandem: the Addigy compliance engine and Addigy's next-gen conditional access. So the Addigy compliance engine allows admins to build and secure their environments with industry standard benchmarks such as CIS, NIST, and really any custom tailored benchmark made specifically for your organization. And the Addigy compliance engine ties seamlessly into your favorite identity providers, allowing for powerful conditional access workflows and device state reporting across all your environments. Now, the compliance engine is the underlying system that monitors your devices in real time based on your benchmarks. If any device falls out of compliance, it's immediately flagged, and you'll be able to see exactly where that device state went out of compliance. Let's look at the design of a benchmark in Addigy. These benchmarks consist of one or many rules, and those rules consist of a device fact, which is a device attribute we'll be monitoring, and an optional script that can be used for automatic remediation. So I added a little example here of like what a CIS benchmark could look like. It has 2 or more rules. The 2 rules here are file vault enabled and corporate Wi-Fi. And then within those rules, you have the device fact and then the script that runs to remediate that item if it goes out of compliance. So I want to quickly walk you through what this looks like in the UI so you can see how simple and powerful this really is. If you navigate to the catalog page, you'll see a tab called Compliance. And from here, you can view all your available benchmarks as well as the pre-built benchmarks that Addigy will provide. Beta testers will currently see an Addigy-based security benchmark already built for them. But in the future, we're also looking at supporting CIS and NIST out of the box. From here, you could jump in and edit benchmarks, and this gives you granular control over the rules that make up a benchmark, as well as the minimum macOS version to check against when deploying. This really allows you to tailor any benchmark to fit the exact business needs of your corporation. Once those benchmarks are configured and added to your policy, you immediately begin to see compliance statuses reporting back to your Addigy devices page. You'll also be able to see that compliance status directly on Go Live when viewing a single device. And then you could even drill into the compliance status, whether it's on the device page or the Go Live page, and it'll bring up a verbose look at the compliance status of the device, pinpointing exactly where it fell out of compliance. So if you want to learn more about the compliance engine, go ahead and scan the QR code on screen. It's going to take you to our knowledge base, which goes into how the compliance engine works and how to set it up in detail. This is also going to be available for public beta, I would say within the next 24 hours. That means you'll be able to go to your account settings page and just toggle that feature on for your organization. I also want to give a special shout out to all the members of the closed beta. We really appreciate your feedback. Now, conditional access has become a standard practice for all organizations. You may already be familiar with our certificate-based conditional access workflow. It's available to all customers today. But with the help of the compliance engine, we're building the next generation of conditional access. Addigy Conditional Access allows you to tie the compliance statuses generated by the Addigy compliance engine directly into your favorite identity providers. This carries over your device state into platforms like Microsoft Endpoint Manager, where you'll be able to see those statuses, device state information, and most importantly, configure conditional access policies. After your benchmarks are completed and deployed, you'll be able to tie your Addigy organization to your identity provider in just a few minutes and start streaming compliance statuses in real time. When devices are in compliance with your benchmarks, they'll have access to corporate applications and data. Corporate applications will check in with your identity provider and confirm that the device is not only managed, but meets all the requirements that you've configured in the Addigy compliance engine. As soon as a device is out of compliance, it's noticed in real time and communicated across the whole ecosystem, immediately denying access to what could be sensitive corporate data. As you can see from the example on screen, users will be denied access to the whole suite of applications covered by your identity provider. If your users find him or herself outside of compliance, or if you're onboarding a brand new user, they can easily register their device with their Addigy Conditional Access directly from the self-service app. Addigy Compliance Engine and Next-Gen Conditional Access unlock a world of opportunities to secure and lock down corporate data on your Apple devices. We're very excited to roll this out to everyone and do our part in helping create safer enterprise environments around the world. If you're interested in trying this feature out in closed beta, please reach out to product@addigy.com. All right, and here's where we have a poll question. John, you want to trigger that?
I have triggered it.
So we'll give that a few seconds, and then John, you let me know. We'll move on to our Q&A.
Yeah, I think we can roll.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
All right, so thank you guys for participating in that poll. And sorry, John, go ahead and take it.
No. Yeah, thanks for that. I was just going to say this is a pretty quick one today. We've been talking about the compliance engine for a while now. Now we're getting ready for the connections into the various IDPs. We are looking to support Microsoft, Okta, and Google with their conditional access as we push forward as well. We also announced, about a month ago, we do have a conditional access solution in place now. I'm going to close my window as the garbage truck's going by. You got to have some excitement in every webinar. That is certificate-based, basically looking for a certificate you deploy onto a device. If that certificate exists, then the user is able to get access into their Azure products, O365. We have a KB on that as well. A couple of other things very quickly. The next Sudo Talks is going to be all about Apple all the time. You're probably aware iOS 16 shipped on Monday, and we expect Ventura and iPadOS 16 to drop in the first couple of weeks of October. So those are going to be coming very quickly. You can go and jump into the Apple beta program now to start deploying Ventura onto some machines and testing. We've been doing a ton of testing with Ventura, and we are seeing some interesting things that are different in terms of prompts users are getting, and we're working through those things for what you're going to need to do to be prepared for that. So look for our next webinar to talk about that, so we can make sure you're in a great place when the new operating systems drop, when Ventura drops. We'll also have the blocker for Ventura ready ASAP when it ships. So if you want to prevent Ventura from rolling out in your environment, you're going to be able to do that as well. We've also got a big update to our OS update mechanism coming out, which will be starting a private beta very soon, hopefully over the next week or two, which our goal is to really simplify what it is for you to be able to do updates. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions on conditional access now. Let's see, Joel, are you looking at these? Let's see, is there a minimum? Next one, is there a minimum on iOS and macOS for the compliance engine? Do you want to take that, or you want me to take it?
Yeah, I mean, the minimum supported version is 10.14, which is the minimum supported version for Addigy overall.
Essentially, if a device is enrolled in Addigy, the compliance engine is going to act on it. One of the things you're going to have to look for, though, is if you do have older devices, for instance, you can enroll all the way back to, we've got devices as old as 10.11 enrolled in Addigy. However, things like self-service are still working. We do build the agent to be able to work as best as possible. We don't guarantee support. But if a device is enrolled in Addigy, the compliance engine will apply to it if you put it in that matching policy. So you could start to build those things out. The challenge could be if you're checking for operating system level or things like that, you could be out of compliance right out of the gate. So should just work. There's a question about randomized password for local admin accounts. If 500 devices don't have the same local admin username and password, can Addigy help deploy the security functionality? I'm going to give that a yes, but again, we're going to have to do a little bit of a deeper dive. I haven't done that myself. We'll take a peek into that one. But again, I'd recommend on that one, open a support ticket so we can help you directly. I have some other questions on it as well in terms of just some other questions. So we get a ticket, we can make sure we get you taken care of.
There's two questions just asking about Windows support. We don't support Windows at all, but I guess the good thing is that once you have the conditional access set up, because we actually share the data with the identity providers, you'll be able to see the information about your Apple devices in the IDP platform. And if you're piping in your Windows devices there, you might have a single pane of view that way.
Ross is asking about to confirm the architecture of this. Once you've got benchmarks enabled, Addigy assesses the device state and returns a Boolean pass-fail. Then we'll pass that state to the IDP, which must be configured to block access if a device returns a fail state.
Yeah, I could answer that. That's exactly right, Ross. You're thinking about it the right way. So fundamentally, Addigy is basically passing this true or false value. Is the device compliant? Is the device not compliant? That goes over to your identity provider. And then from there, you actually build the conditional rule that says, oh, if it passes, then allow it access. If it doesn't, then don't allow it access.
Next question, how complex is the configuration of the conditional access feature?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that the Addigy side is rather simple. We do provide a basic benchmark for you to start testing with, and then you could really kind of go crazy on that and spend as much time as you want really configuring your benchmarks the way you want them. But I wouldn't say that the whole workflow is, a 2-minute process, because you do need to configure some things in Addigy and then configure some things in your identity provider. But overall, it should take less than an hour to have the whole thing running for your whole organization.
Some of the complexities in actually getting this configured could actually be more organizational challenges versus the actual configuration. In a larger environment where you've got a team who's responsible for your IDP, maybe you've got a team who manages Azure or Okta or whatever else, you may have to work with them to be able to get their time right and to be able to get that meeting set up and tell them what you're trying to do on the Addigy side. Here are the rules Addigy is going to enforce, and then be able to talk to them about, what do you got to do on the Azure side to be able to trigger this action on blocking. But again, it's going to really come down to what does it look like on the inside of that IDP for how they configure it. So it is a 2-part process. Would it be possible to tie the CA to macOS versions and force an OS update for the machine to be compliant? So
I could definitely answer the second part of that question. It sounds like a flex policy workflow that could be created. You're not going to be able to do it right now in the closed beta of the compliance engine. But really soon here, you're going to be able to use that compliance status in auto assignments. So you'll be able to automatically move devices into a policy if they fall out of compliance. And then from there, you could do whatever you like. That could be doing OS upgrades or completely locking down that device until you take a look at it. So with the combination of the compliance engine and auto assignment, you're going to be able to create those really powerful automatic remediation and updating workflows.
Look at this, more questions. I got to scroll. Let's see. How comparable is the CA feature solution to using Microsoft Intune? If we use your solution, will you not authorize Intune on these devices? You want to take that? You want me to take it?
Yeah, I mean, the compliance engine could run standalone. So you could actually build it so that if your device falls out of compliance, you could put it into a policy that automatically starts blocking and restricting the device entirely. But the conditional access part is actually built to connect with things like Intune, where you'll be able to get all that information on the Intune side as well, even though the device is being fully managed by Addigy MDM.
And Let's see. So it is comparable. This is actually more Microsoft's endpoint. What do they call it? Endpoint management or whatever else. But again, it is essentially the rules are built in Addigy, and then it signals to the third-party IDP allow access or not. So you will be able to block. A question was asked about where is the menu that contains the compliance settings. If you don't see it, send an email to product@addigy.com. We have to enable the beta for you. In the next day or two, the beta will appear under account settings where you'll be able to go on and turn it on for yourself, and the menu will appear. But before then, shoot us a note. I'll put it in the chat as well, and we'll turn it on.
Yeah, it'll be under the account settings page. You'll also find any other open beta available there as well. So right now, I believe we have flex policies in there, which if you haven't enabled that, I highly recommend checking that out.
How do benchmark rule remediation scripts execute? Do they auto rearm unlike alert remediations?
Yeah, they're just going to fire whenever that rule runs and sees that the device is out of compliance. So they won't go into any sort of sleep or anything.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, but automatic remediation on compliance engine, we've had a lot of debate internally about do we automatically remediate those, or do you hold a device out of compliance until you can take a look at it and figure out what's going on? But you can use remediation to be able to fix those immediately on the fly. You get a report, device was out of compliance, now it's back in compliance. But again, you don't have to reset it. If it triggered and you fixed it and it triggers again, you didn't have to take an action in between for it to trigger the second time. Is there also a transcript of the Q&A that will be available with the posted recording? There won't be a transcript, but this conversation will be here. I guess in the recording, I honestly don't know how the questions, I assume the questions show up in the recording as well. What if the auto remediation script fails? Does the whole workflow halt? Or does the device try to auto remediate again and again at certain intervals? It's a great
Ross,
question.
that's a good question. Yeah, let me, I don't want to give the wrong answer here. So let me just check in with the engineering team. I'll be happy to get back to you on that.
All right. While we wait, we'll stick around for a couple more minutes in case there are any other questions that come to mind. Just a reminder, the next sudo talk is going to be about all Apple all the time. I'm not on the marketing team, so I don't have great names, but we're anticipating that the date of the next sudo talks is going to be right around the next Apple event based on previous timing. We don't have any insight when it'll actually be, but it's typically early October, about 30 days after the iOS event. So it could very well even be the same day, which could make for an interesting day if we've got the new OSs appearing and we're doing a sudo talks. But again, if you do have questions about Ventura, iOS 16, please submit those as well. They could be support tickets or send them to product@addigy.com. We'd love to have your questions about those so we could add those to the next sudo talks as we go into it. We will be focusing on some of the core changes in Ventura. If you've not looked at Ventura, you really should, because right out of the gate, the first thing you're going to see is the system settings looks like an iOS device now. It's very, very different. It does not look like the old macOS, and we've all found ourselves digging around in there to figure out where things are. That's where it begins. There are more notifications for users when software's installing. So I'd really encourage you, get a beta copy, get engaged in the beta, install it at least on a virtual machine, and start to play with it a little bit. You can enroll those in Addigy now. Everything works out of the gate, and you can be doing your testing. So you can be prepared. Even if you're not going to be rolling it out on day one, be aware of what you're about to face. Is there available flex policy? Will we be developing an Addigy Cloud connector for Intune to facilitate TLDR? Yes, but it'll be different and a heck of a lot better. Look for some pretty cool stuff on that, and then over the next little bit here. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Joel has been deep in this project, and he did 98% of the work to put this together today, and some other folks did the other 2%. Thank you, Joel. And any questions as you start to experiment with this stuff, you have feedback, don't hesitate to email the product team about it. And we look forward to seeing all of you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.